Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm doing the song commentary today for Don't Worry Baby. My studio is really messy. I'm really embarrassed, so I'm gonna keep it kind of contained. I'm so pissed off because I've got this as an aside. Oh, wait a minute. This is it. I just found it. I've been looking for this damn thing. Now I can tighten my stands because they're a little bit loose, and I'm terrified that that fucking two voice is gonna fall. It's not though. They're pretty tight, but I'm paranoid. So good afternoon. So here we are. I'm here with my strong ass matcha and my reusable straw. Folks, don't use plastic straws because they kill things. Get rid of that shit. And having a little bit of laryngitis today. Not laryngitis, but just kind of a croaky throat. So I use this stuff, and it does seem to help, even though it's an extremely cheesy label. And it looks like a bunch of bullshit, but it does help, actually. I'm always very skeptical about remedies, but that actually works. What else is around me that we can break the ice with? Let's see. Nothing much. Everything else is so messy. I'm not going to show you my terrible domain at the moment. So you guys, here's Don't Worry Baby. Now this one was a lot of fun to do, and I just really enjoyed it because it kind of came about accidentally, because back when Kendra Frost of Kite Base was here visiting me last year, right before she did the 9 Inch Nails shows, supporting 9 Inch Nails on their last tour with her band Kite Base. Yes. She and I had the great pleasure of playing with the Resonator synth, which my neighbor Allison Tavel owns. Her father invented the synth, and she's currently in the process of creating a documentary about the synth, and by that way, about her father. She lost her father at a very young age and rediscovered him through this synthesizer that she found in her grandmother's attic. And Allie brought it over one day for me to mess with, because I threw myself at her when I met her as, yes, I'm a massive synth dork, and I want to play your synth, oh my god. So, and she's a fantastic human, so she tolerated my dorkdom quite nicely and brought it over here, and Kendra and I messed around with it, and I put the 808 through it, and it just did this crazy bonkers stuff. Fuck you! That's great. So, leading up to this, a few months later, launching Patreon, getting the covers out, coming up to Don't Worry Baby, and it just felt like this song needed to have the Resonator on it, because the subject matter is so romantic but bleak, and I felt like juxtaposing that with a really weird, tweaky beat underneath it, and throwing some really big, thick Beach Boys sort of style stuff over the top of it. So, here's all my automation. I'm actually going to turn the automation off because it makes it hard to scroll around. So, I know I'm babbling. I probably had too much of that shit. Anyway, so I'm just going to go track by track and show you what is going on in here. Now, there's a ton of vocals in this, as you may have heard. But let's go back up to the top and start here. So this is the main line. Let me turn the speakers on. That'd be a good start. And make sure it doesn't come crashing out of my speakers. Oh, wow. And it will. Okay, so it's really loud. So anyway, and this is the 808 going through the resonator with the Moger Foger cluster flux on there. I'm actually going to turn this up. It's quite a quiet mix, really. So some of this is just 808, sounds like. No, actually it is running through the resonator. It's just the mix is turned down because there's a mix on the resonator, so you can, of course, you know, attenuate the amount of the effect of the synthesizer on whatever it is you're running through it, because it is an instrument-controlled synthesizer. If that makes sense. So there's that. And then so if you overdrive the 808 in this amp, it sounds really nice, and I do that a lot. I've done that on a lot of my songs. I really enjoy it. So this is the, yeah, this is that. So, oops. This is my favorite bits. So anyway, this part right here is one of my favorite parts. As you can see, I did a lot of editing, and if you actually have the stems, or really just the song, you can kind of tell that there's a lot of variation in the rhythm and the tempo and the pitch. It is not locked on, so trying to remix this might be a bit of a challenge. The BPM is 138, sort of, like very, very vaguely. All I did was tap it out to a, you know, tap tempo. And that was the closest I could come to it, but it still is kind of all over the place. So this is this. So I also kind of noticed that there was a lot of sort of melodic elements in this, like kind of a and so I kind of latched on to that, which I will show you a little bit more about later. So now moving on to the bass element. So far, the only the only instrumentation in here is 808 and resonator. So it's just, you know, the sounds that are coming out of it that you can vary so much with. And these two guys, left and right, these are just more elements of the 808. Now with this, I took all of the low end out so that it didn't chew up everything. And I just kind of liked that sort of situation there. And this little guy, little bleep. Resonator makes some really lovely little glitchy beeps. And the filter, if you listen out of here, I'm going to actually turn off the EQ so you can actually hear it. So it's lovely, isn't it? And I kind of thought, since I briefly owned a 303, I didn't quite get on with it, so I sold it. But I did love the way it sounded, and I found that the filter on the resonator really resembles that of the 303. It's just a really squelchy, glassy, splintery, really lovely, nasty filter. It's not, I wouldn't say it's terribly warm, but it sounds fucking great. Especially when combined with something really warm like an 808 that's being pushed and overdriven through a tube amp. So I just really, I love the combination of the two. It was really, really cool. I'm going to turn this back on. And then we've got the dry 808, which is just, you know, dry 808. And that's the top end. No kick, because the kick, of course, is being taken care of by everything else. I've got a little, probably a little gated reverb on this or something. Yeah, this is, actually no, this is a preset called Old Vintage. So it's probably a spring reverb, even though actually it doesn't quite sound like that to me. It sounds more like a plate, but I don't know. So there's that. And then the 808 snare. And I chopped up a snare right here. You know, nothing sounds like that. Like the real deal. And a gunshot. I can't remember how I did this. Let me listen. I know it's got the long gunshot reverb on it. Oh, it is a pitch down 808 snare with a long reverb on it. That's what that is. So let's see what it sounds like without the stuff on there. I think it's, at least I think that's what it is. Whoopsie daisy, I meant to solo it. Okay, so that is the snare and the hand clap from the 808, right? Now, Bitty Smack is battery 4, and it's just some kind of rat-a-tat shit that I felt like needed to be in there. You know. Right? Real simple. It's just something that I made myself in battery. It's from the Neubauten kit, except I fucked with it a bunch, and I added a lot of just like bit crusher sort of shit, saturation, and pitched it down. So there you go. And then, oh, the DX. So here come our cymbals. Pretty easy. The DX cymbals going through the Moger Foger 108M, which is going to be... And if you... let me play it a little bit more because I'm going to point something out. So you can hear the, you can hear the delay time getting modulated by the LFO, which is causing the, I think, if I'm saying it right. Again, I know what I'm trying to say, but I might not be using the correct terminology, but I think that's correct. And this is the thing that I thought was so lovely. Again, this is Resonator 2. So this is a combination of the Resonator, the Cluster Flux, and the 808. Now the kick is way deep down in there. To be honest, this is probably more Cluster Flux that's causing that stretchy. And you can hear the kind of sizzle in there too. That's the Resonator causing that. You know, it's just an amazing little synth. I really hope that it gets to go into production and everything. It's just the coolest thing ever. Now this, I lied. There's a wasp in this because in the beginning of this song, the pitch changes. See if you can notice the variance in pitch. Yes, I know there's a fucked up edit in there, but it's actually there on purpose. I didn't notice a variation in pitch, but there you go. Fuck it. The wasp is going through my eventide space. We're getting up on the vocals now. This is where shit's gonna get real. Oh, and this is nice too. This is just another weird slopey thing like the bass I described. And again, I had to pull the low end out so it wouldn't fight, but here it is without it. is this. Moving right along to flutes. Now, I had to do this because, now, first of all, I haven't picked up my flute in probably about 8 years. So it was quite, literally quite rusty. Excuse me, I had to have some tea. But in the top resonator line, I kept hearing, and it was like this little melodic, almost, marching band piccolo situation. So, and then also I kind of wanted to recall a little bit of Caroline No, a little bit of Beach Boysiness here. So, yeah, as you know, I'm a fucking massive Pet Sounds fan, so I was kind of going for a little bit of that era too, instead of the Hot Rods and Girls era, even though, this song is great. But, and then onto this. Right? I don't own a piccolo, so I had to do one an octave higher, and my flute is kind of old and not in the greatest condition because I haven't used it in so long. It surprisingly worked. Vocoder. So one of the first things I heard when doing this was Mike Love's part in Vocoder, which was "Don't worry, baby." Yeah, is it Mike Love's part? I said this in a studio diary too. No, his part is "No, don't you worry, baby." Maybe he sings this part too. Who knows? Don't worry, baby. Don't worry, baby. Don't worry, baby. Right? Yeah, that's that. Little vocoder. And I really loved the idea of combining a vocoder with big, breezy vocals, Low vocoder did not get used, but I'll play it for you anyway. Because honestly, it just didn't sound good with everything else. So it sounds great on its own, but not with everything else. Just kind of muddied things up. And brings us to our lead. So honestly, I really, really was very pleased with this lead vocal. I think this is one take. Let me see. We're going to find out now. Yeah, I know what that looks like. Let's see if it's the same take. Is it? I don't know. That and... yeah, it is. Okay. So one thing about the way I do vocals is I really do try not to comp. I try to make it the same take the whole way through. I like to sing the song. I'm very old school in that way. My first experiences with recording, I started at a young age. I was about 16 the first time I did a recording in a proper studio, and I, come from a theater background and a classical background where I'm just used to singing all the way through and having that commitment when you sing, rather than relying on being able to comp and stuff like that. So yeah, I try to adhere to that as much as possible, just from an emotional standpoint and from a delivery standpoint. So I'm not honestly sure if this is the same take, but it might be. I don't know what that... oh, that's the chorus that I chopped out. It might be. Yeah, it's the same one. And this, I don't know if it's comped either. I think I kind of remember comping that, but I don't know. That might be comped. Is that the same wave? Oh no, it's not comped. Okay, so it looks like I sang this properly. So this is the lead the whole way through, and I kind of, stylistically, it's quite low in my range, so I got right up on the mic and sang it. My voice also gets beaten around a lot during the week because I also teach, and my low range has gotten a lot lower. Luckily, I haven't lost my high range yet. Maybe I have, only a little bit. But I kind of took for granted that a certain day where I was really able to get low, I was quite tired, and I think I actually had some really bad allergies too, so I thought that I would use that to my advantage.
I don't know why, but I keep thinking something's bound to go wrong.
So I also really I wanted to experiment with overdrive on the vocal, but blowing it out with the amp.
Well, I just should have kept my mouth shut when I start to brag about my car.
So, and this is I think it's a setting in Nectar that is a super saturated, kind of overdriven thing. And here's the ending. So,
don't worry, baby, everything will turn out all right. Come on. Don't worry, baby. Oh.
So, as you can see, as I can see, I ain't no engineer, but that fucker is clipped, isn't it? So, but I kept it. I know, but I loved it, and I don't care. So I thought it sounded really good with everything else. So, you know, I don't really think rules always have to apply, especially with vocals. Sometimes they just sound really good if they're clipped. I know, digital distortion sounds like shit. That didn't, and I liked it, so fuck it. So there's the lead. Wow, I spent a lot of time on that. So you know what? I am going to show you the backing vocals little by little. So originally, this vocal was going to be the chorus. Whoops, you can't see that. This vocal was going to be the chorus, and it was just going to be kind of this same style all the way through, which was this.
Everything will turn out.
Oops, let's pull this down so you can actually hear more than reverb. So it was, oopsie daisy. You still there with me? All right.
Everything will turn out all right. Don't worry, baby.
So that got booted for Math's idea, which I mentioned in the post when I posted this song, which was, he came in and listened to it, was like, why don't you do something a little bit more mamas and the papas for the chorus? And I was like, oh, but it might interrupt the narrative of the singer, of the lead. You know, the lead voice, the lead character is trying to tell a story. And then the more I thought about it, it was like, the vocal that comes in is calling back. It's a call and response almost, calling back to the lead character. And he's telling us about what he's hearing in his mind. And this is what he's hearing in his mind is, don't worry, baby, everything will turn out all right, right? So it wound up making sense to me. I came around, took a little bit, but I did. It was a great idea. You know, that's a good thing about having someone to bounce ideas off of is, you know, it's fucking hard to do it on your own. So. So there's only 2 parts there. Like I said, I think I ended up with about, well, a lot. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, and so I just build on more harmonies as the song goes along. Here's more. I'm going to solo them all now. So here's chorus 2 coming up, which is, oh, well, these are the harmonies. It never ends. Jesus Christ. Oh, look at all these. Okay. Now here they come. Here comes the vocoder. Okay, so, and then we go into the middle, which is, yeah. So it starts to get quite indulgent in the end here. And I'm going to start to turn these on. Right? I also want to know what the hell this is. Thunder? No idea.
If you knew how much I loved you, babe.
So these little guys, yeah, these are just ones that have an extremely long reverb on it called thunderclap, right? Obviously, I don't label things worth of crap. So you guys, I think that's it. So really, it's lots of vocal tracks, 808, resonator in several different ways. There's no synth except for that little wasp in the beginning, where the pitch changes right around here. The pitch gets a bit weird. And then that's it, really. So I hope you enjoyed that. That is your little commentary. And let's see. I guess I'll see you guys soon with more diary, more love. And remember, spread the word about this Patreon, because the bigger our little family grows, you know, the more we can add, the more crazy shit we can do. So have a lovely weekend. Kissy, 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 kissy. And don't worry, baby.